Hi, okay folks, today we're going to be showing you how to put a corset on yourself. Now, can be a bit tricky, especially if you're not used to it or haven't done it before. Recommend having a couple of tries. It can take a little bit of practice just because it can be a little bit awkward. And it is always nice to have somebody else pop it on. But for your own independence, let's learn how we put it on ourselves. So we're going to do an underbust corset for this one today. And first thing we want to do is loosen the back lacing. So we undo the bow and the knot. And there are two loops here. These are the points that you loosen from, pull out the excess, and this is also where you're going to be tightening from. So to loosen, just think of it kind of like shoelaces. You want to pull the excess from these two center loops out to either end. So you pull those through. You can also pull the corset and that will help make things go a bit faster. There we go. Then make sure your front closures are undone. Then we are going to wrap around ourselves, close the front. Now, maybe a little bit loose to start off with, but that's perfect because that means we're going to get a nice cinching in. For this particular style, for an underbust, you want it sitting ideally where the bottom of a bra strap may sit, so right underneath there. And this one in particular too has these gorgeous hip details. You can position it right above your hips. However, this one is a shorter style as well, so you can wear it slightly lower. It will sit just slightly there, depending on your comfort level and where you would like or prefer the bottom to sit and cover. So for today we're going to wear it up a bit higher, up there. Okay, so we're nice and closed here. From the back, you've got a modesty panel. We want to pull that across, make sure that's sitting as flat as possible. Then we're going to find our two loops. This can be easier done in front of a mirror as well. You will be turning to look, but it does help to sort of have a point of reference for yourself as well. So, grabbing those, first thing that you do, pull. Then you put the two loops into one hand, your other hand comes up behind your back and walks any excess through those crisscrosses down into the center, and then from the bottom as well. As you can see, a bit more tricky to do on yourself because it involves a little bit more dexterity and also harder to see. So once you feel like you've pulled through enough excess, doesn't have to be super tight just yet. Keep checking on your modesty panel that it is sitting as flat as it can be. Then we're going to do some little tips and tricks. So first tip, grab the top of the loops and we're going to pull down and out. So on yourself, from the front, it will look like this. Maybe I'll do both actually. So top, down and out. And then from the front, let's listen to, from the front will look like this. Then, if you can, keep those nice and taut in one hand. If not, you can let go. It may loosen a little bit, but that's fine. We're going to come back later. But if you can, keep that nice and taut. Reach through the loops and grab the bottom. And these ones we're going to pull up. A little bit more difficult again, but that's okay. Okay, so another pull. Perfect. And then we check if there's any excess again. Pull that through. Okay. Alrighty. Then last little bit, once you're happy with where it's all sitting, modesty panel sitting okay, Again, helps to have a mirror. You can sort of check if there's any excess in places that you can't quite feel. You can then manipulate, but if you don't have that, then you should be all right. Then, grabbing your 2 loops, tie a knot, wrap your hands around to get nice and close if you can, otherwise do from down out here. And then we go up and down, row, row, row boat for the final cinch in the center. Try and stand up nice and straight as you do this so that it gets in the right placement. So last one. When you're happy with where that's sitting, keeping it as taut as possible. We're going to tie a bow, hopefully. And then, to the best of our abilities, get the lengths roughly the same. That's fine. If you don't want the excess, you can tuck it in underneath those crisscrosses. Definitely helpful to have a mirror to do that, but you can always just shove it in and if you're good to go. And then you've done your own corset. Now, to take it off or to loosen it, so you've been out, you've been having a great time, and it's starting to feel a little bit tight now. You've maybe had some drinks or some dinner, and you're like, okay, I don't want to take it off just yet, but I need a bit more room to move. So what we're going to do, find our bow, undo, should be again just like shoelaces, undo that knot. Then from those 2 center loops, instead of pulling that excess in to the center, just like we did before, we're going to loosen outwards, but you don't want to pull too much out because we're just loosening it to get to a comfortable state. Make sure the modesty's going okay. Alrighty, so that's feeling a bit better. You can sort of do a little bit of a pull up and down to get it evened out and pull that excess in if you need to again. If you don't need to, that's fine. This is the part where you go, ah, that feels so much better. Tie a knot again. If you want to, you can do another cinch in the center just to bring that waist in a bit more. If you're wanting just a bit more room up the top and the bottom, but still a curve. If you want the whole thing loosened, just tie it up where it is. So, knot, bow, length's roughly the same. And there you have it. Still looks gorgeous corset, nice and cinched, but you've got a bit more wiggle room to move, and it feels a bit more comfortable. Then end of the night, wanting to take it off, same thing. Pull that bow out, pull that knot, but we're going to give it a lot more length now. Pull that excess through. You can give it a bit of a wiggle, top, middle and bottom of the sides there will help sort of pull that through. Doesn't have to be falling off loose, but loose enough you can move it around. And then to undo the busk closure front, grab the top, jiggle back and forth, and you're good to go.